In the bustling city of Crestwood, policeman Jake Thompson was patrolling the streets on a quiet Friday evening, indulging in the stillness that cloaked the urban landscape. It was a routine shift, and with no signs of mischief or trouble, he was looking forward to finishing early. That is, until a car zoomed past him like a bullet. Instinct kicked in, and without a second thought, Jake waved his hand, signaling the vehicle to stop. But the driver slammed on the gas, racing away. His heart raced as he switched on the siren, the wail echoing through the empty streets. "What in the world?" Jake muttered under his breath as he chased the vehicle. The car finally screeched to a halt in a dead-end alley. He leaped out of his cruiser, adrenaline pumping through his veins. As he approached, he noticed something shocking. Inside the vehicle were two young boys, one around 10 years old, the other a few years younger. The driver, a scruffy-haired boy named Kyle, sat at the wheel while his little brother Max fidgeted nervously in the passenger seat. Their eyes were wide with fear. "Get out of the car," Jake ordered, trying to remain calm despite the situation. Instead, the boys started crying inconsolably. Just then, Jake caught a glimpse of a woman lying in the back seat, and a chill raced down his spine. Hey, look at me," Jake said, crouching down beside the window. "What happened? Where's your mom?" Through sobs, Kyle finally managed to explain that their mother, Sarah, had collapsed while cleaning the house. They hadn't been able to wake her, and, panicking and desperate, the boys decided to take her to the hospital themselves since they didn't know how to call for help. Jake's heart sank. He could feel their desperation, and he knew time was ticking. "Okay, let's get her out of here." Without missing a beat, he gently lifted Sarah from the back seat. He could immediately sense the urgency in the air. Rushing to his cruiser, he laid her carefully in the back, turned on the siren, and sped toward Crestwood General Hospital with the boys in tow. As the siren wailed, Jake glanced in the rearview mirror at Kyle and Maximum. "You guys are doing great. Just hold on," he reassured them, taking note of their tense expressions softening just a little. They were scared, but he was determined to get them through this together. Upon arrival, first responders quickly took Sarah into the emergency room. Jake remained with the boys, feeling a bond forming between them. He noticed their worried eyes and tried his best to distract them. "So, what do you guys like to do for fun?" he asked, directing their attention away from their anxious thoughts. "I love baseball," Kyle said, still shaking, while Max added, "I like video games." "Do you play?" Jake chuckled. "Who do you think you're talking to? I'm the king of video games. I'm unbeatable." With that proclamation, a flicker of laughter rang out, an unexpected halo of light amidst the chaos. Despite the gravity of the situation as the hours passed, Jake managed to bring some light into their somber world. He made a game of guessing who had the best ultimate powers in their favorite video games. The boys laughed through their fear, a sound that warmed Jake's heart. Later that evening, Sarah was stabilized, and she regained consciousness just long enough to see Jake and her boys. "Thank you for saving us," she breathed, a mixture of gratitude and relief in her tired eyes. "Just doing my job," Jake replied, though inside he felt a sense of pride swell in his chest. He'd not only responded as an officer but had also become a source of comfort for her children. In the days that followed, while Sarah was convalescing in the hospital, Jake continued to visit Kyle and Maximum. They became friends, sharing laughs and stories, and as they bonded, he learned about the boys' struggles, how they had been forced to grow up too quickly without their father around. When Sarah finally had the strength to leave the hospital, her face beamed with gratitude and a hint of something more. "You've been incredible to my boys, Officer Thompson. I can't thank you enough," she said with warmth as she met Jake's gaze. "Oh, please call me Jake," he replied, a grin spreading across his face. As days turned into weeks, their friendship blossomed. They shared meals, laughter, and those comfortable silences that spoke louder than words. Jake became a fixture in their lives, filling the void of a father figure in a way that felt natural. The boys adored him, following him around like proud little ducklings, eager to soak up his stories about police work, fun adventures, and lessons on bravery. One sunny Saturday, Jake proposed a family outing to the local amusement park. Kyle and Max cheered with delight and Sarah beamed with joy. "Are you sure you want to take on this duo?" she laughed, her eyes sparkling. "I'd be honored," Jake said, matching his smile with a wide grin. "We'll get cotton candy, ride roller coasters, and whatever else it takes to make this a day to remember." As they rode the rides, shrieks of joy filled the air. Jake was unwavering in his role as a protector, ensuring the boys were safe while also giving them the freedom to have fun. During one ride, he found himself clinging to the safety bar as the coaster plunged down, Kyle and Max squealing with laughter beside him. Later that afternoon, while sharing cotton candy, Max suddenly turned serious. "Jake, are you going to be like our dad now?" he asked, innocence shining through his large eyes. The question hung in the air, a profound inquiry that struck to the core of Jake's heart. He glanced at Sarah, who looked back at him with a warmth that encouraged him in a way he hadn't anticipated. That depends. Are you two okay with that?" Jake replied, feeling his pulse race. "Yeah, that would be awesome," Kyle exclaimed, and suddenly all three of them burst into laughter at how giddy they felt about the prospect. As the sun set over the amusement park, casting a warm glow on their faces, Jake knew they had crossed into new territory. Their connection had transformed into something more than friendship. It was becoming a family. Back at home, as they settled in for the night, Kyle turned to his mother, asking, "Mom, can we have a barbecue tomorrow?" "You know, for Jake." Sarah's heart warmed at the idea. "Sure. I'll make his favorite burgers and fries," she said. They spent the next day preparing their home and grilling. Jake arrived, instantly greeted with joyful cheers and an aroma that made his stomach growl. Over dinner, laughter filled every corner of their home as stories were shared and bonds deepened. As the evening wore on, they gathered in the living room. Kyle suggested a game of charades. Hilarity ensued, fueled by exaggerated movements and creative guesses. But amidst their laughter, Jake felt an undeniable shift. With a playful advance, he announced, "Okay, I have a secret weapon." He retrieved a small box from his backpack, causing an air of anticipation. "I brought these." Inside was a collection of silly, colorful hats. He distributed them amongst the group, transforming each of them into characters bursting with personality. Max donned a giant sombrero while Kyle slipped into a tiny pirate hat, and Sarah put on a funny cat ear headband. "I declare a fashion show," Jake shouted with mock gravitas. They strutted around the living room, making exaggerated poses and declarations of superiority, and finally flopped onto the couch, breathless with laughter. As the night drew to a close, with the laughter still echoing softly, Jake gazed at Sarah, her playful spirit shining through her laughter. There was a spark, a connection that had transcended their initial meeting, and Jake's heart fluttered. Before leaving that evening, Jake lingered at the door, summoning his courage. "Hey, can we talk for a moment?" he asked Sarah softly. "Of course," she replied, her tone inviting. They stepped out onto the porch, gazing up at the stars sparkling against the endless night sky. "I've really gotten close to your boys, but honestly, I've gotten close to you too," Jake said. "I know it's unexpected, but this feels right." Sarah's heart raced as she realized she felt the same way. "Jake, I feel it too. You've brought so much happiness into our lives," she admitted. After a pause, Jake took a step forward. "What if we explored this, whatever this is? Together," he proposed. Understanding danced in Sarah's eyes, and she nodded, her cheeks turning rosy. "I'd love that, together." The weeks that followed were an adventure, creating a new life together. They explored the city and spent genuine time together as a family. Jake balanced his life as a dedicated officer with being a magical presence in their lives. With each passing day, every moment spent cemented the foundation of something beautiful. Barbecues turned into movie nights, school projects became group efforts, and love flourished as they built a life together. As a year rolled on, a special day approached, the boys' birthdays just days apart. Jake planned a surprise party, enlisting help from Sarah. Using elaborate decorations, colorful balloons, and a cake that resembled a majestic dinosaur, the boys were in for a treat. "What's going on?" Kyle and Max asked, feigning innocence as they walked downstairs, eyes widening in disbelief. "Surprise!" everyone shouted, and the room erupted with joy. The boys couldn't contain their excitement as they dove into the festivities. As the cake was served and the candles were blown out, a toothy grin spread across Jake's face. "You know what this makes us," he declared. The coolest family in Crestwood. Yeah, the boys cheered, and as laughter filled the room, there was no denying how well each of them fit into this unexpected yet perfect puzzle. As they played and celebrated that day, all worries faded into the background. The bond they shared had transformed their lives in ways they never anticipated. Months passed, and one sunny afternoon, Jake had a ring tucked away in his pocket, shimmering and weighty with significance. He invited Sarah for a picnic at the park where they often went, hoping to capture the moment of their life-changing adventure. As they spread their blanket under the trees and shared laughter over sandwiches, the sunlight filtering through the leaves illuminated their smiles. Suddenly, with his heart racing, Jake knew it was time. "Sarah, there's something I want to say," he began, taking her hand. "You brought light back into my life, and you've made me feel like a father and a partner. I can't imagine my life without you and the boys." He pulled out the ring, and her eyes widened in surprise. "Will you make this an official family?" he asked, his voice filled with hope and sincerity. "Will you marry me?" Tears of joy cascaded down Sarah's cheeks as she nodded. "Yes. Yes. 1,000 times yes." The boys, who had been hiding behind a nearby tree, jumped out with a chorus of enthusiastic cheers, anxious to celebrate their new family member. They hugged and laughed, their futures looking bright and limitless. As the sun dipped down, signaling the end of a magical day, their lives intertwined in a story woven with love, laughter, and the unexpected twists that had brought them together. They would become a family not just by their names, but by the bonds of the heart that united them through every adventure life had yet to offer. And so, the tale of Jake, Sarah, Kyle, and Max became a beautiful testament to the magic of unexpected connections, the joy of family found, and the journey of love that can arise from the most unforeseen circumstances.